Welcome to Random Movie Reviews. I'm Nathan, and today I'll be talking about my top 7 favorite Jackie Chan movies. So, as of recently, I've been really getting into Hong Kong action cinema. My last video, I was talking about John Woo, and now I want to talk about some Jackie Chan. I love Jackie Chan. I'm a big fan of a lot of his movies. I haven't seen all of his movies. He's made a lot, and his more recent output of movies don't look very good to me, in my opinion. Not really interested in seeing those, but there's a couple of his films in his back catalog that I'm still hoping to watch one of these days. Like his movie Crime Story is a popular one with fans. I also haven't seen City Hunter and some of his more outlandish kind of films, but I think it's fair to say that I've seen most of his best movies that many fans would consider his top tier. And so that's why I made a list of 7 in particular. These are the 7 films of his that I've enjoyed the most, that I've rewatched the most. There are some of his other movies that I've watched just like once a while ago that I liked, but I need to kind of revisit him again to see if I would put him on a list. So I might end up doing another list in the future of my favorite Jackie Chan movies. I might make it a top 10. Like some of his other movies that I've seen that I'm a big fan of, but I only saw once, was like Project A, both that one and its sequel, Project A Part 2, which I actually enjoyed. It's been a long time since I've seen him, and I haven't rewatched him since. And then some of his other fan favorite movies that I'm not a big fan of, one is Wheels on Meals. I think the fight scenes at the end are incredible. But that is literally all that movie has to offer. Most of that movie is not even an action movie. It's very boring, and the comedy is bad. Sorry, Wheels on Meals fans. I know a lot of people love that movie. I'm not a fan. And then there's also Dragons Forever, which Dragons Forever has, it's got Yuen Bio and Sammo Hung. And it's a movie that's fun in parts, and then it's another movie where it's just kind of slow and boring, and the best part of the movie is like the last 12 minutes of the film with some few minor fight sequences in between that are pretty good, but there's just, I think the consistency of entertainment and fight sequences and stunts is what I look for in a Jackie Chan movie, and those movies in particular, Wheels on Meals and Dragons Forever, they kind of lack in that area. But when there is action, it's good. And so these top 7, in my opinion, are the most consistent of all the Jackie Chan movies I've seen. There's a good balance of action, stunts, and comedy. It's got a little bit of everything. So I should also specify before I get deep into the list, this list is not ranked, unlike my last list. These are just my 7 favorite Jackie Chan movies. I can't really rank them. I think they're all great in many different ways, which we'll get into. So with all that being said, let's get into it. So I think the first film we need to start off with is the movie that got me into Jackie Chan, my very first Jackie Chan movie, and that is Shanghai Noon. I love Shanghai Noon. I ended up rewatching the film just, I think, last year or maybe the year before that. I watched it not too long ago, and it still holds up. I think it's a entertaining movie. I think Owen Wilson has great chemistry with Jackie Chan. I think the movie's consistently entertaining. I think there's some great Jackie Chan fight sequences and moments throughout that movie. One that kind of comes to the top of my head is when he first runs into the Native Americans, and he's fighting with them, and then there's the saloon fight that follows, and there's a lot of great sequences in the movie. And of course you got Lucy Liu, who doesn't love Lucy Liu. Just a wonderfully entertaining film. I think a lot of Jackie Chan fans consider that one to be more like a mid-tier Jackie Chan movie. Not to me. It was obviously my first Jackie Chan movie. I saw it when I was like 5 years old. So I'm going to have a bias to it. I'm going to have nostalgia for it. But I firmly believe that it is one of Jackie Chan's better American movies for sure. And we should go into the film right after that, which is his other most famous, most well-known American movie, Rush Hour. I will always love the Rush Hour movies, specifically Rush Hour 1 and 2. Rush Hour 3, not so great, but the first two, and the first one in particular, is wonderful. Chris Tucker, I know some people aren't a fan of his comedy because he can be fairly animated, and some people look at that as being sort of obnoxious. I understand that. Tastes are going to vary. I fucking love Chris Tucker. I love him in Friday. I love him in Rush Hour. And the chemistry he has with Jackie Chan is amazing. It's the classic kind of opposites attract. And the comedy is just wonderful. And there's some awesome action sequences. It's not some of the best action Jackie has done, but there's some great moments. Hands down, my favorite moment in Rush Hour is the whole vase in the casino where he's trying to protect the vase and he ends up failing. And that scene right there is a brilliant example of why Jackie Chan is a master of action comedy. That scene right there, I think, is perfectly shows why he is so good at mixing those two genres together. So yeah, Rush Hour and Shanghai Noon, the only two American entries on this list, and they're both wonderful. I love them very much. And then the next one we got to go to is the one where I think has Jackie Chan's best fighting in any of his movies. Out of all the movies he's done, this one has his best fight choreography. And I got the Blu-ray right here, the original Hong Kong version, the Warner Brothers Blu-ray that has the unrated version of Drunken Master 2. The first Drunken Master is very good. I haven't seen it in a long time, but I remember enjoying it. I should probably rewatch it. I remember liking it quite a bit, but Drunken Master 2 is maybe the best kung fu movie I've ever seen, just in terms of the fighting choreography. This movie isn't as stunt heavy as some of the other Jackie Chan movies I'm going to get into, but oh my God, there's so much fighting in this movie. I think there's more fighting in this movie than there is talking, and that's why it's one of my favorite Jackie Chan movies. There are some Jackie Chan movies where it's trying to tell a story, but the story really isn't that interesting. And so the story in Drunken Master 2 is fine. It's serviceable. But what makes the movie amazing is its drunken boxing sequences and just what Jackie Chan is able to pull off in this movie. It's incredible. And it's my favorite type of kung fu where it's practically done. There's no wires. I like some wushu kung fu films, Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, Iron Monkey, Hero with Jet Li and Donnie Yen. I love those movies, but there's a certain impact that Drunken Master 2 has because it's grounded in reality in the sense that they don't fly around and have almost like superpowers. It's what you see Jackie Chan do on screen. He's doing it for real. It's probably sped up in some sequences, but he's really doing those flips and those twists and those amazing kicks and drunken moves. It's just incredible. And then the finale, I mean, forget about it. The finale is amazing, where he's fighting his, I believe it was his bodyguard, the guy who plays the main villain in this movie. Those kicks are some of the scariest, gnarly looking kicks I've seen in a kung fu movie. The only complaint I have about Drunken Master 2 is that in the original version, the ending is pretty dumb. The ending is he ends up having mental issues because he drank the industrial alcohol, and it kind of ends on that note. And it's like, it's sort of in poor taste. It's not that funny. It's anticlimactic for our character. I know it's trying to be like a lighthearted comedic moment. Doesn't really work for me. But other than that, a near flawless kung fu movie. Pretty much a flawless kung fu movie. The only problem I have with it is the ending. But if you take that away from it, you have amazing kung fu. And Drunken Master 2. It's an essential Jackie Chan movie, hands down. Okay, the next one I'm going to get into is what I think is one of Jackie Chan's more underrated films, and that is Mr. Nice Guy. Once again, Warner Brothers released the original versions of both this and Drunken Master 2, which I'm happy to have. This was directed by Sammo Hung. And for Jackie Chan fans, you should know Sammo Hung. Eastern Condors, by the way, that's announced to be on the Criterion Collection. That's a day one purchase for me. I absolutely love Eastern Condors. But yeah, Mr. Nice Guy is kind of, it's in the same vein as like Rumble in the Bronx, where Jackie Chan's character is in America, and the story doesn't really matter. Jackie plays kind of a celebrity television chef, and he gets caught up in this conspiracy with a videotape, and he has to... It doesn't matter. It's Jackie Chan doing awesome Jackie Chan shit, And the reason I love the movie is the same reason why I love Drunken Master 2, in that it's just nonstop action. Once the movie starts, it doesn't really stop, and the action keeps getting bigger and better and more ambitious. And there's some amazing moments in this movie. The whole like construction scene where he's fighting off the guys and he's using the materials around him, a classic Jackie Chan staple. You know, he'll make use of whatever is around him as a weapon or as a way to get the advantage against his opponents. And this movie's a great example of that. And it's like it's not a great story, and it's not like a great Jackie Chan dramatic performance by any means. It's what you want when you're looking for a fast-paced, action-packed, and comedic Jackie Chan movie, but not so comedic that it ends up being silly or kind of eye-rolling. It finds that perfect balance. And so, yeah, I definitely recommend Mr. Nice Guy. It's one of those Jackie Chan movies that I don't hear getting mentioned all that often, and it should, because it's awesome. And especially with this Blu-ray, I got this for like $12 on Amazon. So if you want to see the original version of this, yeah, $12 Blu-ray, totally worth it. Okay, now we have to do what is maybe Jackie Chan's best directed movie. I'm going to say it. It's his best directed movie, and that is, of course, Police Story. This is the Criterion Blu-ray of Police Story. It comes with Police Story 1, and it comes with Police Story 2. I like Police Story 2 quite a bit, actually. That movie's grown on me every time I've rewatched it, but it's not my favorite. And neither is the first Police Story is my favorite Police Story. We'll get into the last film on this list, which is my favorite Police Story. But we got to talk about Police Story 1. It is quintessential Jackie Chan. Probably Jackie Chan's, I don't know, it's hard to say. It's because it's up there with Drunken Master 2 in that regard. But maybe his most iconic film. It's the film that he says he's the most proud of. He thinks it's his best movie. I think it's definitely one of his best movies. And like I've mentioned with some of the other films on this list, it's a movie that strikes that balance of consistent entertainment, good comedy. The comedy in this movie is a lot of fun. It's very slapstick heavy, but I enjoy that. So it may not be to everyone's taste, but if you like kind of fun slapstick, and what Jackie Chan does physically in this movie is incredible. The opening stunt alone, that whole opening sequence with the town collapsing with the car chase and then him going on the bus, and that's amazing stuff. But of course, what takes this movie to the next level is the final it's the entire third act of the movie, where Jackie's character, he is framed and he has to try to stop the bad guys and prove his innocence, and he's desperate and he's angry and he's pissed off, and he goes to them all and he takes out on the bad guys. And I know I mentioned that Drunken Master 2 is his best movie for fighting, but I think my favorite fight sequence that Jackie's ever done is the ending to Police Story. That mall fight sequence, all of the moments in there, the moment with the motorcycle, the moment with probably my favorite, where he straight up flips a guy and body slams him into the escalator. And then there's the scene where he's on like the little coat rack and he's spinning around. And then of course the final stunt, one of the most famous Jackie Chan stunts of all time, jumping on a pole with lights on it, sliding down, breaking into the glass. Apparently he burned off a lot of the skin on his hand, and I guess he dislocated his tailbone when he did that. Yeah, amazing stuff what this man has done for us. So God bless Jackie Chan, and thank you for risking your life to give us some of the greatest entertainment ever. But yeah, not much else to say about Police Story. Most Jackie Chan fans have seen it, but if you're one of the few who hasn't, what are you doing? You got to watch this movie. It's streaming on HBO Max, both Police Story 1 and 2. So yeah, there you go. All right, we got two more. The other one I nearly forgot to mention, but I just remembered just now, is Operation Condor, or Armor of God 2. So I don't like the first Armor of God movie. That's another example where a lot of the best scenes in that movie are saved for like the last 10 minutes. And then the vast majority of the movie is just kind of a boring, uninteresting story. There's some fun moments here and there, very brief. But yeah, I just think Armor of God, the first one, is just kind of dull and not that funny. And it's just to me. Operation Condor, on the other hand, is the exact opposite of Armor of God. It is consistently entertaining. It features some of the best Jackie Chan fight sequences, some of his best stunts. There's really no boring scene in Operation Condor. It is, and for those who aren't familiar with Operation Condor, Armor of God, it's essentially Jackie Chan's take on Indiana Jones. That's basically it. He's a treasure hunter. He goes out to get treasure, and then shenanigans and bad guys and all that stuff happens. But there are so many amazing scenes in Operation Condor. But yeah, Operation Condor is one of the best, most consistently entertaining Jackie Chan movies, hands down. I can't believe I almost forgot it, but I just remembered. Had to mention that one. And then that leaves us with one. And probably, most likely, it's hard to say, but Police Story 3 Super Cop, I think, is my favorite Jackie Chan movie. And I think that's somewhat of a hot take. There are some people who don't really care for Police Story 3. There are some people who think the first Police Story is better. Some people even say the second Police Story. What I love about Police Story 3 is that it's the fastest of all the Police Story movies. And what I mean by that is that the action in this movie is insane. I know I've said that for all these movies, but I think if Drunken Master 2 is the Jackie Chan movie that has the best fight sequences, then Police Story 3 is the one that has Jackie Chan's best stunts. And I know some people don't like this movie because it's a little stunt heavy. I don't care. The stunts in this movie are absolutely insane. The helicopter to the car sequence. I mean, that last third act is insane, but there's also some great fight moments in here too. And then of course, what also takes this movie to the next level is my girl, Michelle Yeoh, who I love with all my heart. And she and Jackie are amazing in this movie. And this movie's just, there's no real like technical or profound reason why I think Police Story 3 is the best Police Story movie. But my simple answer is it's the best one because it's the one I find to be the most entertaining. None of the Police Story movies have like super intricate plots. You know what I mean? And we're not talking about like epic crime thrillers here. We're talking about fun, fast-paced crime action movies. And Police Story 3 is the most entertaining of the three. It's one of the most entertaining movies I've ever seen, period. And it's a movie where every time I rewatch it, I'm just in awe of both Jackie's stunts and dedication to the stunts and the fight sequences, but Michelle Yeoh too. Michelle Yeoh deserves a lot of credit because she does a lot of her own stunts in this movie too. In fact, she almost got, or I think she did get hurt. You see it, the bloopers at the end of this movie, during trying to do a car stunt. But she does a lot of her own stunts too, and both of them together, it's just an amazing pairing. That's my list. That's my top 7 favorite Jackie Chan movies. I might revisit this once I watch some of his other movies and I rewatch some of the ones that I've only seen once. Like I want to rewatch the Project A movies because I remember liking them. It's just been a while since I've seen them, and I want to watch Crime Story. And I just recently watched a new Police Story, which I didn't think I was going to like, but I ended up liking it quite a bit, actually. It's not perfect. I think the movie takes itself a little too seriously. And I am kind of missing some of the more lighthearted elements. But as a movie that I kind of separate from the rest of the Police Story movies, it's kind of its own thing. New Police Story is pretty good. So that gets an honorable mention as New Police Story, because that's the most recent Jackie Chan movie I watched. But anyway, list your favorite Jackie Chan movies in the comments below. Let me know what's your favorite. Do you agree with my list? Do you disagree with it? And like I said, I think I'm going to revisit. I might end up doing a top 10 Jackie Chan movie list in the future once I rewatch some of his other movies. But yeah, that's my thoughts, guys. And as always, thank you for watching.